Hello everybody, welcome back to the xSmithyx YouTube channel, here today for another brand new video and the start of Season 2 of our JGRL eSports season. For those of you new to this series, because we have had a lot of new subscribers recently, so thank you very much for joining us. But this series is our venture into the world of competitive F1 2020 league racing in the JGRL eSports League. There is a link in the description below to its Instagram page if you are interested in having a look at it. So make sure to go and check that out, give it some love because the guys over there do an incredible job setting this up for us. If you did miss Season 1, there will be a link in the description below as well to a playlist so you can go and catch up on our journey so far, but this is the start of a brand new season. Obviously last year we did manage to secure P2 in the Drivers' Championship at the first time of asking, an absolutely incredible result for me. And hopefully this season we can finally challenge for our first Drivers' Championship. However, this season is going to be an absolutely incredible one. We now have a full grid of 20 drivers in the league. We've got more races than we had last season, so the challenge is going to be even tougher. I can't wait to get stuck into it, and I hope you guys are excited as I am. If you are and you do want to keep up to date with this series, do make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss an upload of this. So, Season 2 then, we've got a whole host of new drivers, so what I am going to do now is very quickly, I'm just going to flash up on screen the new driver lineups of this season and announce the new team that I'm driving for. We have jumped ship from Renault, left Vando Knight behind. We have got a new teammate and a new car for this year. So using the power of editing, they should be up on screen now. And you can see this season we will be racing for Mercedes alongside our rival from last year, O'Connor, in a sort of dream team. We're going to be pushing this season to try and win the Constructors. Obviously McLaren won it last year after Chris absolutely dominated. So we have formed this Mercedes dream team to try and win the championship this season. Obviously, other big moves, we've got Chris moving to Renault from McLaren. McLaren having a whole new driver lineup for this season. We've got Jack moving to Racing Point. We've got a whole host of new drivers. Rangers very quick there in the Williams, along with Token Abyss. We've got a very, very competitive Alfa Romeo team there. Obviously, the one and only move to Red Bull, we've replaced him. So it's a very, very competitive field this season, and we shall be driving this beautiful Mercedes W11 and hopefully taking it to championship glory. So with all that intro out of the way, this is going to be episode 1 of season 2 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Unfortunately, we did have some technical difficulties for the second round at Singapore, so you're not going to be seeing a video for that because I didn't actually finish because of these technical difficulties. So at the end of this episode, we will give you the full championship standings for the first 2 rounds of the season. But I think that is enough talking from me now, so let's jump straight into the action for Season 2. So here we are then winding up for our first lap in qualifying for the new season in this beautiful Mercedes W11 in Q2 here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Didn't need to set a lap in Q1 owing to the fact that not everyone managed to turn up for this race. So we were through, we saved a set of tyres, and we are into Q2. Now this circuit, Azerbaijan, is not a track I particularly like. It's very, very difficult on a controller just to change a direction and how precise you have to be through a lot of the corners. Obviously most notably being the Castle section, one of the most tricky corners in Formula 1. We get slightly blocked here in our Q2 lap by Jack. So a bit of clumsy driving there from him, but no harm done really. But yeah, around Baku, this is the first time that we have driven around here in the league. No idea what our pace is going to be like. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any practice in for this Grand Prix before the actual race started owing to my real life commitments, my job. So a little bit rusty. I hadn't been on the game for quite a few weeks after the end of the first season. So you will see as this video goes on a lot of little clumsy errors that you won't have seen in Season 1 just creeping into my driving. So we're going to have to work on that as the season goes on, but we just want to get a nice solid result from the first round of the season. Obviously if you remember back to Season 1, our first race around Austria was an absolute disaster. We got pole position but very clumsy driving and we were last by the end of the first lap owing to some collisions. This season however we want to get off to a nice start and hopefully kick off our championship challenge and also do the job for Mercedes in our fight for the Constructors. You can see fastest laps tumbling here as everyone starts to set their first lap in Q2. It's not been a particularly good lap for me, not pushing too hard. You see only using rich revs as well as B Dodo goes fastest. As we said last season, definitely someone to watch out for this year because his pace was incredible. Managing to finish in the top 10 despite only doing about 4 races shows the pace he has. We go into P2. We are on the soft tyre though, and everyone else is actually trying to start this race on the mediums. But as you can see, we are easily through into the top 10 shootout, quite some way off the pace of Evan, who was incredibly quick. So a race win is looking very, very unlikely here. Thankfully, O'Connor also gets through on that alternate strategy. So we're going to see what we can do in this final part of qualifying. Not particularly hopeful for this. If I can get somewhere in the top 5 or 6, that is what I was aiming for going into Q3. And speaking of Q3, here we go onto our lap. As you can see, we did actually cross the line after the session had finished. This is a glitch that was in the game. It has since been patched since this episode has been recorded. So that is going to be something we need to work on, sorting out our timing. But as you can see, we've already set a lap. Both Mercedes have set a lap actually, but we are only P6 and 7 at the minute. Definitely not where we expect to be this season. We're hoping to be challenging at the front, but both of us struggling a little bit for pace so far in this session. But onto this qualifying lap, you can see we are only just up on the lap we set so far, reinforcing the fact that we are really struggling for pace around this circuit. The lack of practice and the lack of game experience really over the last couple of weeks really showing, as this lap is not very good. You can see we're up to about 0.3 up, so it is an improvement, and hopefully we can get up towards the sharp end. But I don't think this is going to be a lap that's going to trouble the quickest guys in the session as we come into the castle section here. Very cautious because I'm just not confident enough in the line through there to be able to get it through as quick as maybe some of the other people. We've got a gap up to about 0.6 of a second on our fastest lap so far, so a pretty decent improvement, you have to say. And hopefully this can put us up maybe top 4, top 5, but coming into this corner just carry way too much speed, hit the wall there. We've got front wing damage now, and we have lost about 1/10 and a half. Obviously going to lose a bit more time through this corner because not having the grip, and you can see we've lost 0.3 of a second, so that is a very costly error from us there, as the one and only retires from qualifying. He has a crash, I think, coming through the castle section, so unfortunate for him. But as we run up to the line, Exocon is just in front of us. He's going to set his lap. He jumps up to, I believe, into P2, so a great qualifying effort from him. We cross the line, however, and it's only going to be P5. Definitely not what we wanted going into this season, but I will take it. Here you can see the grid. Evan does secure pole positions. A great work from him. Last year's champion Chris is in P3. B Dodo, like I said, very quick driver. He's P4 in this race. We're going to start from there though. Hopefully we can get a good result. As you can see, the race strategy is slightly quicker to do a one-stop around here, but I felt the tyre wear was just too bad. So we are actually going to elect to do the two-stop today. So softs onto mediums, back onto softs towards the end, and hopefully that will give us a bit of pace to chase people down at the end of the Grand Prix. But we're now on the grid, going to the 5 red lights for Season 2 of the JGRL eSports season. It is lights out and away we go. And for once we don't get an awful start. Pretty decent start compared to those around us. We're going to try and brake late around the outside. A little bit of contact made on the inside. B Dodo goes for a spin, unfortunately for him. Italian Sonic is somehow up to P4. I think he started around P8 or P9. So he has got a huge jump off the start there, and unfortunately got in front of us. And that is definitely going to compromise us because we need to get past him as quick as possible. He's really not shown the pace of the front runners today, and that's who we want to be fighting. As we come into turn 3, you can see just how much time we gain under braking on him. And this is going to be something you see over the course of this next couple of laps. Stuck behind Sonic. He brakes so much earlier than us for corners. It's actually becoming a little bit dangerous. You're going to see into here. We're having to lift off maybe 100 metres before our braking point just to avoid ramming into the back of him. Gets a snap of oversteer there. Can we try and get a run into this section? Not really an overtaking point. You see just how close we're getting. Don't want to rear end him though. You're going to hear, just listen to the throttle here. You can hear just how much we're having to lift off into corners just to avoid hitting him in the back. He clips the wall there, but we're not able to do anything with it with the awkward line we're on. He gets a huge snap of oversteer there though, but we're not close enough to make a move, and this is really costing us time. If you look in the top left, you can see Chris is already 3 seconds clear. We get incredibly lucky there not to get any damage. A bit of stupid driving from me, but this is costing us so much time already. Stuck behind Italian Sonic, just can't find a way through. It's very difficult to overtake on this circuit if it's not down one of these long straights. So we're going to have to try and maximise that now. You can see using a lot of ERS on this straight to try and catch up. Didn't use my rich revs though, which is in hindsight a mistake here. We only go up into it now, but you can see the gap is just too big coming towards turn 1. We're not going to be able to dive bombing from this far back, I don't think. We are gaining though, so in my mind here I did think maybe have a look. We're going to switch to the inside, but just nothing we could do there. We get very close. Give him a little scare there maybe. We're going to get a run though on the exit of this corner. Can we make it around the outside? We brake so much later, but he almost puts us in the wall there. Some very questionable defending going on here from Sonic. He is so much slower than us at this point. He'd be better served just letting us go, because it's slowing us down. It's also slowing him down. So you're having to lift off again 100 metres early because he's just so much slower into the braking zones, and it was frustrating me so much at this stage because we're losing touch with the leaders. We get a little touch from behind there just because we're having to go so much earlier on the brakes into corners. Yeah, this was just so frustrating at this point of the race. We've got pace to be maybe not fighting the leaders, but much quicker than this. You can see we've already lost 4.5 seconds to Chris, as we once again having to take avoiding action. This was incredibly frustrating. Sonic, he's not one of the quicker drivers in the league. Like, I don't want to badmouth people, but he's got a bit of a reputation for being a bit questionable when racing people. He's got good pace, to be fair, when he's driving around by himself, but he's just not very good in driver-to-driver combat, and it's really showing at this stage just how much time we're gaining into braking zones. This is one area he really needs to work on, and it is costing us so much time in this race. It's getting to the point of almost being dangerous, because we're nearly rear-ending him into every single corner, but we can't afford to lift off too much because we've got a car behind us. You see, having to lift off through this is a flat-out part of the track, and we're having to lift off. Here, you can see a little bit of a gap. He moves over to cover it. We tried to go to the inside, and then he blocks that as well. This was just getting a bit ridiculous at this point, so we're going to use as much rich revs as we can and just see if we can send it around the outside using our braking performance, because we're so much better. So we're going to brake very late. For some reason, he tries to brake just as late and then slams on even more mid-corner, goes straight on and breaks our front wing. And at this point, I was absolutely livid. I can tell you, obviously I don't record the voice chat for these because most of it is us just slagging each other off, so you don't really want to hear that. But yeah, there was a lot of bad words exchanged by me towards Sonic. I don't know what on earth he was trying to do there, but that was just plain out stupid. You can see if you look at the minimap, there is a yellow flag at turn 1. He just parked the car up then and gets disqualified from the session. So he holds us up, gives us front wing damage, doing a stupid defensive move, and then leaves. So there's the notification for it. I was absolutely fuming. He's essentially ruined our race, but we're going to have to try and stretch this stint a little bit, because if we pit now, that strategy that we selected at the start, that 2-stop, isn't going to work. You see, we get a corner cutting penalty there because I'm just driving angry at this point, being a bit stupid. But now we cut onto lap number 5. We are going to come into the pits. This is 1 lap earlier than our pit window, so I've stretched this as far as I can, but we're just losing so much time because of that front wing damage, especially around this circuit. You need the front end to turn in, and it just wasn't. It was, as Martin Brundle likes to say, understeering like a cross-channel ferry. So we're into the pits now, a set of mediums going on. We're going to change the front wing, and hopefully this will now allow us to unlock a bit of the pace that we've not been able to show. We did slip back, you see B Dodo there up to P4 after that incident at the first corner, so great pace from him to recover. It's going to be very interesting to see where he can end up in this race, because he has been unbelievably quick around this circuit. We rejoin in P6 just ahead of this battle behind us between Kai and Haymaker. Unfortunately, Kai has now left the league. Very sad to see him go. He's a very good driver, but he was here for the first couple of rounds of the season. We, however, we're in P6. You can see Evan is actually in front of us. He had to make an early pit stop as well for damage, so he's been dropped down to P5, and he's trying a very audacious 1-stop on the hard tyres, trying to go all the way to the end, so he'll get track position. We're just going to have to see if his tyres die, though, by the end of the race. Interestingly, though, the end of that lap, coming out of the pits here, we can see X O'Connor is coming out just in front of us. He was battling Chris for the lead of this race at one point. He was about 10-15 seconds ahead of us, but I think there was a collision between the two. Connor got front wing damage and has lost so much time getting back to the pits and in the pit stop that he's come out just a couple of seconds in front of us. So this race for Mercedes not going to plan so far. P4 and 5, obviously it's not a bad result, but we were expecting so much more going into this season, so we're going to have to try and recover now. Hopefully we can use Connor's pace to sort of drag us along a little bit if we can stay in DRS, just outside it at the minute, but I'm trying to use him to drag us back into contention because we've not been on the pace so far this weekend. If we can use him, we can maybe try and get a result out of this. I'm not too confident. I think Connor's got the pace, but I certainly do not, as we go very cautiously through the castle once again. We just need to drive sensibly now and just try and maximise what we can from this race, because we don't want to be losing too many points at the first round of the season to the main championship contenders. Obviously you look at the likes of Evan, was very quick towards the end of last season. Connor, obviously a great driver, had just some poor luck in the second half of the season. Chris, who's already up front battling for the race win, so carrying over his incredible speed from last season into this one. You can see this is the first lap, full lap out of the pits on these tyres, and we're already setting a personal best lap. This is just going to show just how much time I was losing. Obviously we are on slightly fresher tyres, so that will play some part into it, but as you're going to see as we go across the line, just how much speed I was losing compared to my ultimate pace in this race. You can see Connor's already pulled away, so my pace isn't amazing, but as we cross the line, this lap is 3 seconds quicker than our personal best, which just shows just how much time that front wing damage has cost us, and really shows just what a mess of our race Sonic has made. So definitely needs to book his ideas up because I'm very, very angry with him at this point. We're going to cut ahead to lap number 10 now. You see Connor has stretched that gap up a little bit. It's up to 2.7 seconds now, but we are closing in on Evan. Obviously, we do have one more pit stop to make than him in this race, but we will have fresher tyres. However, it all goes to pot into here. I'd make a stupid error, just a little lapse of judgment there, and we've got front wing damage. So that's going to be another pit stop we're going to have to make. This season, not off to a great start. 2 mistakes within the first 10 laps from us, and front wing damage. Yeah, really not my proudest race so far. Again, I was very annoyed with myself at this point because I usually pride myself on being very consistent, but I've just made a hash of this race, to be honest. Obviously, the Sonic incident at the start really sort of affected my concentration, and we're going to have to pit again. So, yeah, not ideal. We're going to have to come in. This really alters the strategy. We're going to have to put a set of hards on as we get very, very lucky there. I've seen people crash out of races for less around this part of the circuit, so counting our lucky stars a little bit there, but we are going to be in. We're going to have to put a set of hards on now and just try and go to the end of this race. Yeah, it's certainly not my best race, but we're just going to have to salvage what we can at this point. The race is over. We're not going to be able to score a podium or anything like that, so it's just going to be damage limitation for round number 1, and this really shows my need to put some more practice in. As you see, we're going to come out of the pit stop here. We are just going to check what strategies people are doing. There are a multiple of strategies. We've got people trying 1 stops, people doing 2 stops. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. We are going to come out of the pits just in front of our old teammate Vando, who stayed at Renault for this season, which is key because it's going to allow us to race at our own pace and not be held up. And we're just going to have to see what we can get from this race now. Get our head down. See, Mr. Dodo is a very, very long way ahead of us. We're going to cut all the way to lap 24 though. Just nothing really going on in our race. You see, Evan though has retired right at the end. He was in a battle with Chris for the race lead, and just, I'm not sure what happened, if there was contact or he just carried too much speed into there, but he clouted that wall and he's out of this race. That's very unlucky for him because he was fighting, as I said, for the win. Chris, however, has suffered a huge amount of damage in that, and B Dodo, incredibly, after spinning at the first corner, is chasing Chris down for the race win. You see, we're choosing to pit here. We have a massive gap behind us of about 43 seconds. So this stop won't cost us anything. And what we're going to do, we're going to bolt on a fresh set of soft tyres that we saved in qualifying. And we're just going to try and see if we can get that fastest lap point. It's only worth 1 point, but every point in this championship does matter. So we're going to try and steal that point away. Currently held by our teammate in X O'Connor, who's currently fighting for the podium with Mr. Dodo. We're nowhere near that, so every single point is going to matter. So here we are then on the final lap of the race for our attempt at getting the fastest lap. Into turn 1, we have to go down a little bit too many gears there because I just braked a bit too late. Slightly overestimating the performance that this tyre was going to give me. But yeah, this race been a little bit of a disaster for us. Hopefully though, on this lap we can salvage something using a lot of the ERS we've saved up. We've saved up enough fuel to be enriched for the entire lap. You see, braking very late into here, being super aggressive and just having so much more grip on a fresh set of softs compared to the mediums and the hards that we ran for pretty much the entire race. Just having the ability to push felt so nice. The car did get better as the race went on. You see purple through the first sector, so this lap is looking like it will be a good one. Clouting that inside curb there. Again, squirting the ERS just to get as good an exit out of these corners as possible. Making sure not to cut this corner because that will invalidate our attempt at the fastest lap point. You can see in the top left, Connor has managed to secure P3, so that is going to be a podium for Mercedes, which is absolutely great. Obviously, I would prefer it to be me, but unfortunately it won't be. You can see B Dodo incredibly managed to overtake Chris on the last lap of the race to secure the win. Going into the corner that we're about to go into now, actually, I don't know how he managed to get a pass done into there, but he did, so congratulations to him. A great recovery drive. For us, however, though, into the second sector split, you can see 2.5 seconds up on our quickest lap and another purple sector, so it looks like we will be able to get that extra point as long as we don't mess up these corners. See, not the ideal line through there, but we are going to run to the line now. We're going to use the rest of the rich revs, use the rest of the ERS, and will it be enough to secure the fastest lap point? Let's find out as we come to the line now. Yes, it will. A 1:41.3 is the fastest lap of the race and will secure us 1 extra point. But here are your race results for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. See B Dodo there winning the race for AlphaTauri ahead of Chris and our teammate X O'Connor, so congratulations to him. You see the McLaren of Mr. Dodo, great result for him. He gets a P4 just ahead of us, and then behind us comes Vando, Jack Games, Kai, Haymaker and Evan rounds out the top 10. Even though we didn't finish, he was still classified because he only retired with about 3 laps to go. So, as we said, we did miss the second round, which was Singapore, due to technical difficulties, so this is what your championship looks like after the first 2 rounds of the season. So, the Drivers' Championship, we have B. Doddo in the lead of the championship on 37 points, just ahead of our teammate X O'Connor on 30. Ranger, a new guy to the series, he wasn't in the first race, so unfortunately we've got no footage of him so far, but he won the race and got fastest lap at Singapore, so he sits P3, tied on points with Chris, but he has the tiebreaker because of that race win. Evan in P5, just ahead of Vando, our old teammate. P7 sees the first McLaren of Mr. Dodo on 14 points, just ahead of the first racing point of Jack Games on 12, and we are all the way down in P9 after the first 2 rounds of the season. Definitely not the way I wanted this championship to start, that's putting it mildly. We're already an entire race win behind the championship leader, so we've definitely got some work to do in the coming rounds if we want to close that gap, and Haymaker rounds out the top 10 in the second racing point. As we go on to the Constructors then, you can see Renault do lead the championship with Vando and Chris doing a great opening couple of rounds. We, despite my awful form, are somehow still in P2 in the championship, so hopefully with a bit better form in the races to come, we can regain that lead. Connor has done a fantastic job sort of leading the team in the opening couple of races. Alpha Tauri are in P3, obviously B. Doddo leading the championship has a big impact on that. Williams P4, like I said, that is mainly down to the fact Ranger won the Singapore Grand Prix. Ferrari P5 with the points from Evan, just ahead of McLaren and Racing Point, with Red Bull, Haas and Alfa Romeo yet to score. Most of their drivers though only joined the season sort of after this race, so you won't have seen them so far, but they will be scoring points because they are very quick. However, that is it for the first episode of our Season 2 of the JGRL eSports season. If you have enjoyed, do smash that like button for the start of the new season. If you are new around here, do remember to subscribe if you have enjoyed this content and you wish to see more. I just want to say at the end of this video though, a bit off topic, but I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has joined the channel recently, who's been checking out the videos. Like, the support in the last couple of weeks especially has been absolutely crazy. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. It does mean an absolute massive amount to me as I aim to grow this channel to the point where hopefully I can do this full time, because this is what I really enjoy doing. Back on topic though, the next round of this season will be out next Tuesday, so do stick around for that. If you are enjoying, like I said, do leave a like, do leave a comment as well. Let me know what you think, who's going to win the championship this season, where do you think we're going to end up here, both in the drivers and Mercedes as a team. But that has been it for this video. I have been xSmithyx. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.